What's up, y'all? I'm back out here on the range, as you can see back behind me, on another hot summer day. Temperature's supposed to be back up into the 90s, so I've got me some shade set up, and I got a little bit of an early start because I've got a few interesting tests on the agenda, and we're gonna start things off with what hopefully turns out to be some good 10 mil. So I got the jelly contraption set up, ready to roll this morning with a couple of chronos and 2 fresh blocks of gel. No testing these yet, so we'll get a really nice clear picture of what happens here. As you can see, I've got the heavy clothing barrier with the layer of denim, fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt. And like I said, we're going back to some of my love-hate caliber, the good old 10 millimeter. What we got here was sent to me by Trust the Process, so I really appreciate that. We're looking at the Federal Premium Swift A-frame. This is a 200 grain medium game round is how they classify this, so a medium game hunting round. Now, the velocity on the box with this stuff is saying 1,100 feet per second. This is out of a 200 grain projectile. Y'all know me, I'm very picky with 10 mil. I don't know, maybe I think 10 mil should be more special than it actually is, but I just feel like 10 mil should be something special, and already these numbers ain't special. I just don't understand, especially why you would take something that you're purposely gearing towards a hunting round and aim for what I would consider middle of the road type performance at best. I mean, this is a 200 grain projectile, 1,100 FPS at the muzzle. That's what, 530 some, just a little over 500 foot-pounds of energy. To me, that's just not what 10 mil is supposed to be. Now, medium game, you put your round in the right spot and it's going to get the job done, I imagine, but I just don't understand why you would purposely aim for such a low bar. But we're going to see what it does out here anyway. So here's your cartridge, nice nickel plated case with that A-frame projectile. Now, really nice deep cavity. These are not designed to give you a whole lot of expansion. You can see the, I don't know how well you can see the little illustration on the box here. That's the expansion that you can expect from these. The front half, from reading the description, the front half of the projectile is a bonded expander, and then the whole entire rear half is just designed as a big slug just to stay together and give you some nice penetration. Now, these numbers they're giving are from a 5-inch test barrel. What I've got here for the shorty is a little bit shorter than that. It's my G20 with the 4.6-inch barrel. This is what Trust the Process is going to be using, so this is what I wanted to use. And to be honest with you, there's very little difference between this 4.6 and a 5-inch barrel. I'll do some more tests with some other rounds I've got planned to do anyway to show y'all that, but very little difference there with the short barrel. And so since 5-inch isn't that big of a difference, I figured we might as well jump it on up in size big time. So we got the Kriss Vector here with the 16-inch barrel. So again, in my opinion, even if you hit that box velocity, that's just nothing to brag about, but hopefully we do at least get somewhere close. Let's get it set up and find out what it does. All right, let's see what we're working with here. I'm gonna do a 5-round average from each one of them, starting with this G20 first. Now, if y'all aren't familiar with this lab radar, you're gonna get multiple velocity readings from it. The large numbers at the muzzle, and then you've got 5 across the bottom. The first one's set for 3 yards, which is roughly where the gel is here at 10 feet. And then I've got them set for 10, 15, 25, and 50. So now remember, the box is saying 1,100 from a 5-inch barrel. I doubt we would even see that from a 5-inch. That's just how it is nowadays. So I don't really expect to see that from this G20 at all. Let's see how close we get here. 1,046, 1,073, 1,061, 1,074, and 1,082. So first one a little bit low, but the rest of them about what I figured, just a little bit 20, 30 short of that 1,100. Let's check out the average. All right, so our 5-round average came close to the 1,100. We had 1,067, extreme spread of 36, and a standard deviation of 14. So we did have a low there of 1,046 and then a high of 1,082. So that right there, 20-ish to 30, is about what you're gonna see pretty much any 10 millimeter round that I would compare that G20 and a 5-inch to. So that's what I'm saying. That's very little difference right there. 1,067, they're aiming for 1,100 with this round. So that being the case, I would still expect to see it perform at these velocities right here, but who knows what's going to happen. Let me get it reset and let's check out the Vector. All right, let's see what this long boy does. Being that was close to that 1,100, I'd say you'd probably hit 11 with a 5-inch. So I don't think we're going to pick up as much as a lot of people think you might, but let's see what happens. Maybe I'm wrong. 1102, 1145, 1180, 1160, 1179, that was it, wasn't it? Yeah, that was it. So didn't even pick up quite as much as I even thought. Let's see what the average was. All right, so really pretty disappointing stuff right here. We had a 5-round average that time of 1153 feet per second. We did have a high of 1180, and we had that first one, I believe, again, was low at 1102. So that gave us an extreme spread of 78 and a standard deviation of 32. So 1153, even if you take the high of 1180, I think that's pitiful right there. I didn't expect to pick up a whole lot because I already knew going to this 16-inch 10 mil that you're not going to get near as much as people think, but that right there is pretty bad. I'm definitely very curious now to run some buffalo bore through that 16-inch and see how much I pick up over my G20. So anyway, 1153 right here, and if you remember on the G20, it was 1067, so you're only talking about 86 feet per second more going from a 4.6-inch barrel to a 16-inch barrel. That's pretty pitiful right there. I didn't expect a whole lot because I know how this stuff works. I figured about 100 to 150 though, so that right there, 86, is pretty doggone low. So all that being said, again, this stuff was designed for 1100, so both of these should give us some decent performance in the gel. Well, let's get it all set up, and y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, it's can A-frame bag some game jelly time. We'll put one from each barrel length into the gel, starting with this G20 first. I'm a little bit worried about this stuff. I got the towels back behind the blocks just in case something crazy happens. This is really close to the 1100 that they're claiming on the box, so it should perform at this, but y'all know how that goes. All right, that should have been a good one right there. Let me go see what I got. All right, apparently Federal knows what they're doing with this stuff right here, because from what I can tell so far, it looks absolutely perfect down there. So let's see what this Vector does. I expect good stuff from this now after seeing that one. I got to figure my height over bore on this. Hopefully I can get it where I want it to be. All right, that should be good right there. Let's go check these things out. All right, let's check this stuff out down here, y'all. Again, I definitely do not claim to be an expert at hunting, but from what I can tell, these had exactly what you want as far as a hunting round, except for the energy, in my opinion. Now, they're not pitifully weak by any means, but I just don't understand why they would aim for such a low energy level with a hunting round like this. But let's take a quick look at them here and then we'll get some measurements. So on the top, that was the G20. As you can see, it comes in here, definitely immediate expansion, nice disruption all the way through this first block here, travels into the second block, looks like maybe 4 or 5 inches, and you got the exact expansion like they're showing that you're supposed to get on that box. And then down below it, that was the one from the 16-inch Vector. Again, it comes in immediate disruption, immediate expansion. You can tell all the way through that first block again into the second block, and this one actually travels maybe about 1 inch, 2 inches maybe further than that one from the G20, and you do have more expansion from what I can tell just looking at it through the gel here. So as far as the penetration numbers, the one on the top here from the G20 stopped at exactly 21 inches forward momentum, and then the one from the Kriss Vector is down there at 22 3/4 inches. So really, really nice penetration for hunting purposes from both of those. And then here's your close-up look again on top G20, the bottom the Kriss Vector. As you can see, both of them, nice disruption all the way through that first block. They both travel into the second block. There's the expansion from the G20, and then down on the bottom from the Vector. It's always a little bit tricky here from the top, but I just want to show you they're pretty much the same size depending on what way you look at these wound channels. All the way through this first block, as you can see, into the second block, and there again you got your projectiles. All right, let's take us a look at these projectiles. Again, they look exactly like what the box is claiming that you're gonna get from these. You can see there, that front half pretty much all the way down to the bottom. You had a little bit left, a little more left on this one from the G20. You can tell that it could have came out a little more. Vector here, a little bit maybe more left on that, but as you can see, they pretty much expanded down through that whole entire cavity. So very, very nice performance right here. Also, I don't know if I mentioned in the opening, these are actually bonded too, so no no material loss that I can see at all. As far as a hunting round, this is exactly what I would want to see. It retained all the material, very, very nice penetration. Now, I know some people are probably going to question the test distance right here, and obviously it is closer than you would be using this stuff for hunting purposes, but it just keeps things more consistent. As far as trying to go out at a distance and test with that G20, yeah, I could put a round in its block, but then, you know, it's not going to be where I could pinpoint it. Not only that, but with that lab radar, you can look at those velocities and kind of get a really good guess of what kind of performance you're going to see. My opinion, I wouldn't want to go below 1,000 with these. I think even at 1,000 FPS, you would probably still get this pretty good performance. So if it were me using these for hunting purposes, looking at this data right here, I would work around that 1,000 FPS minimum and then take that distance from there. So you're probably looking at this being effective to maybe out to about 50 with the velocity we're seeing out of this G20. But let's get some measurements on them and see what we got. Again, they both started at 200. This one from the G20 is at 199.6, so I would say nothing lost there, probably just manufacturing tolerances. This one from the Kriss Vector is at 199.8. So again, I don't think either one of these lost any material. And then on your sizes, even though this Vector squeezed out a little bit more lead, I think they're going to be about the same. The one here from the G20, you got 5.85 and 5.86, so nice expansion right there. And then the one from the Vector, you got 5.75 and 5.86, so pretty much identical ending size from both of these. And again, in my opinion, I think they did a fantastic job of expansion and penetration. So there you go, y'all, the Federal Premium Swift A-frame 10 mil hunting round. Really, really nice performance from these. Again, in my opinion, all except for the energy. I'm sure the energy is sufficient for medium game. I guess it depends on what somebody's idea of medium is, but let me know down in the comments, y'all hunters out there, what do you think about the energy from this stuff right here? I mean, I can tell you what I think in general. The energy is just too low, whether it be for hunting, for defensive purposes. I mean, my Buffalo Bore 180 blows this stuff out of the water. I mean, it's not even close. And even a couple of other rounds, lighter rounds, defensive type rounds, blow these out of the water as far as energy. Now, I know penetration was probably way up high on the list, being this is a hunting round, but still, you got to have some good energy for a 10 mil. But all that being said, I have to give these credit for doing exactly what they claim to do. They expanded nicely. They got nice penetration. The velocity was right where they said it was going to be, 1,100. I'm sure we would get that 1,100 out of a 5-inch. The math just adds up from what we got here today. So credit for doing exactly what they claimed they were going to do, but for me, it's just not enough. All right, y'all, I'm gonna call it right there for a pretty underwhelming 10 mil test. Again, this stuff did perform exactly the way it claimed it was gonna perform. It's just not what I personally wanna see out of a 10 mil. It kind of even makes it worse right here because these got so close to being really, really good in my opinion. Really nice penetration. The expansion was exactly what they claimed you was gonna see and probably exactly what you wanna see in a hunting situation. It just lacks the energy. Doing the math, I think that G20 is gonna be just barely over 500 foot-pounds of energy at that 10 feet mark. So once you get out there, I mean, the energy's dropping down. We've seen hot, spicy 9 mil that's right there at that kind of energy. So for a 10 mil, I absolutely want more energy than this. But again, I'm definitely no expert hunter, so let me know down in the comments, those of y'all who do a lot of hunting, especially if you do any kind of handgun caliber hunting, or especially with this 10 mil, let me know down in the comments what you think about this. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you reach down and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you've got those notifications turned on so you get notified when I upload stuff. Take a second and check out the affiliate links in the video description below. Anything you pick up after hitting those links, I get a kickback from them toward the channel, so I really do appreciate that. Again, a big thanks to Trust the Process for sending me this ammo to test, all my range gang members, and every single one of y'all for supporting the channel. I've got a couple more really interesting tests planned for out here, so stay on the lookout for those. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.